Yeah,
basically.
that's the thing, Ivan. Biden's not running the country. He can't. So if he's not running the country, who is? You know, it makes me question if everything is just not a show. If it's just not a puppet, who is
Oh no,
pulling the strings?
it's not that. That's something that I also heard, but there's not. I'm suggesting a lot of videos here today. But if you have the time later, do watch CGP Grey Keys to Power because he makes a very good sense. He's a very good argument saying no king rules alone. No king. You can be a king. You can have absolute power, but you don't build roads.
But
You don't
there's no
command the
king.
army.
There's no king.
No, but
His
that's the
mind
thing.
is broken.
But that's the thing he's saying. Like a president, a king, ultimately is a figurehead. He's a person who centralizes stuff, but he's mostly a figurehead. The keys of power, which he calls, are the ones running the show. Keys of power are representatives and figures who actually have influence. That's why they're called keys. It's if you have their support, you have a key to unlock the door to power. And that's the thing. These people are the ones who run stuff. It's not one person. It's a lot of people with conflicting interests, conflicting groups, and also conflicting levels, varying levels of influence. A key can have more power than another. And these are the people who actually run countries.
So let me tell you something. One thing is for sure. Any of those keys would prefer to have Biden over Trump because Biden, I mean, there's no one in there. He can be manipulated very easily. That's the impression I have from a foreigner looking at all of those madness from overseas. It's that crazy to assume that any of those keys. I'm not pointing fingers. I don't know any of them. I don't know any names. But it's that crazy to assume that those keys would somehow imagine, like, come up with a scenario where Trump dies and Biden stays on power so they can keep their positions. Like, humans have ego trips. Humans want money and power, especially politicians. And
But
as we talked at the beginning of the podcast, like, politicians is one of the positions, one of the professions that attract the most sociopaths, if not psychopaths, the most. So is that crazy to assume that some of them would form a group and try to kill Trump? I don't know. I like to speculate. I like the conspiracy aspect of it, and I think
it's
there's at least a percentage of possibility there. I'm not. I don't know.
it's not that interesting for them either, because, like I said, when you do something like that, you elevate the level of violence allowed in a political system. And when you do that, you also put your own life in jeopardy, because it also increases the risk for people to point finger eventually at you.
Not if you do in secrecy.
But that's the thing: conspiracies, they can't stay secret. They eventually leak out, and the more people involved, the easier it is for it to leak out. And something the size of killing a presidential candidate, you know, it's a very big conspiracy to keep shut. So much so that when you see what happened on the day of Trump's assassination, attempted assassination, it's so shocking because the guy had plenty of time to set everything up, and people, the Secret Service and police, they were reacting, but they were bumbling around awfully due to poor communication. Like we spoke earlier, the Secret Service just shit. There's no other way of putting it. The Secret Service is an awful institution when it comes to how they run and how they do things. And so the only reason Trump escaped was by a luck of a turn of a head, because he turned his head at the right moment. The guy shot, and also the guy shot out of desperation because he got caught. At one moment, a police officer actually went up there and got threatened by the guy with the gun and forced to go down. So that's the thing. Someone did try to react, but he's like, if I do something, I die here as well. There was a pushback. There were people acting, just they bumbled. So much that it's not the first time something like that happens in the world. So I don't believe so much so in a conspiracy. It's far easier to believe people were terribly incompetent, which is proven. There's a data showing that, like I said. And also the matter of, like I said, if the keys of Biden. Biden doesn't govern
There's a
so much
date.
so
There are data's proving that people are incompetent.
that there's data proven for the Secret Service is shit. Like I said, it's incompetent. And also the police departments in the United States have been having a terrible track record as well. Like there's a lot of stuff there that points out that they are just bad. There's a saying I use to guide my decisions in life and it helps me a lot, which is Hanlon's razor. Have you seen?
No.
Hanlon's razor is a logical process which says, don't assume malice, which can be easily explained by stupidity, which is more likely in a lot of these situations. People bumbled everywhere during that day. Again, I think it's Wendover Productions again. I also had a video showcasing all the bad decisions done that day and all the historical bad moves the Secret Service did. It's amazing no more candidates have been murdered. But it's not amazing as well because, like I said, candidates got shot more than once. That's not something that happened only with Trump. For instance, I think you heard of Theodore Roosevelt. You do know he got shot during a speech.
And he continued giving the speech, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know Andrew Jackson, one of the first American presidents?
He got shot.
That's the thing. The guy actually got close to him, pulled the trigger, but the gun misfired. Andrew Jackson got so mad, he started beating the man with a cane. He had to be separated because he was almost killing the man.
But I mean, that's self-defense, basically.
I know. There's a point. I'm like, okay, if there's one situation for outright bursts of anger, I think maybe that's one of them. But
That's
I
totally
don't
valid. Come on, if there's
Yeah.
a guy pointing a gun at you trying to kill you, you're gonna
That's the
defend
thing,
yourself. Yeah.
Andrew Jackson was actually infamous for his temper, and that's something to me that makes perfect sense. The perfect reaction. Did you just fucking try to shoot me, you asshole, and start beating the guy with the cane? And that's the whole situation. Start mapping everything that happened, right? And you start to see a pattern of the United States having candidates being targeted and candidates almost being killed, or sometimes being killed because, well, Lincoln was a good case of someone who got killed. Also, he wasn't the only one. You see, smaller politicians do get killed by smaller groups of opposition as well. It's something that happens. There's also an infamous politician who got murdered. He was known as the dictator of Louisiana, I think it was the place. Some people call him the good dictator. What was his name? He was Huey Long. Huey Long.
Huey Long. Okay.
Yeah, he was Huey Long. He was actually seen, nicknamed the Kingfish. He's another one who got murdered, and he was seen as a dictator because he actually used his powers in his position to do a lot of unpopular things. He just stepped over the usual things to do popular things. For instance, he used he created a war chest. So people were like, wait, he's creating a war chest? And he used the money to finance public schools material. So he used stuff like that, or he actually stepped over Congress to push all their laws like that. It was a dictatorial behavior. Basically, he was like going, I won't follow standard procedure to do what I want to do. And that's dangerous, a dangerous field to be in. But he did good things. We don't know how long that would have lasted because he got murdered during one of these campaigns. He's another one of those cases that just got killed. This time, it was because of his opposition. Also because he was actually angering a lot of people by outright ignoring them.
All right. So there's a lot of incompetence. There's this huge factor of the gun culture in the U.S.
Yep.
Which makes you believe that there's nothing behind it. There's no conspiracy behind it.
Oh yeah, there was another candidate. I just remember Reagan. Reagan got shot, but they missed, I believe. So much so that there's a speech. If you check, there's a speech he made where a balloon pops.
Oh
during
yeah.
The speech, and he just stops and says, "Miss me." I hate Reagan, but he had a lot of charisma. Not gonna lie.
With all of that said, it's a fact that the GFK documents are still classified to this day.
They are.
Why?
That's a good question, honestly. If I think eventually this truth will come out of far ahead. I don't think it was a conspiracy. I think, and that's one the Lemino episode makes a lot of sense of this. By investigate, do you know what I said about the incompetence?
Yeah.
They have a lot of stuff to hide, mostly because it shows how utterly bad they were their job at the people involved. So they have the people that keep it. They have no interest of leaking that out because it would paint them so bad that it puts a lot of questions. Not as in we killed, and more like, man, we can't do the basic part of our job for something so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something I'm more to believe in because, like I said, a lot of points point to them just being a horrible institution who doesn't do their job well, and God knows why they're still there when they just suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I question the same. I mean, as far as I understand, so now she resigned, but Cheeto, right, the ex leader, not leader, CEO of the Secret Force. How do you call her? Director, the ex director of the Secret Force, the one who was there when Trump got shot. It was Cheeto. Yeah. She now resigned, and as far as I understand, she was just put into this position because she was a personal friend from Joe Biden, so the first lady. And the thing is, when she resigned, everyone was cheering. Yeah, finally, this incompetent bitch is out of here. No one wants her. She almost got killed. Trump killed. While all of that happened, Biden, like the Biden family, Joe and Joe, they issued like a letter. They were like, "Oh, we are so grateful for your years of service. The Secret Service is amazing." Blah blah, blah. And it goes on like. She was a personal friend from President Biden. Like she had no hard skills. Basically, she was not qualified for the job. She was just put there because
which is normal as well. On one hand, I can understand that because for such a position, I'm not going to say assassination attempts don't happen. In general, I say they are not interesting, but they do happen, like we saw. And that's why in any position like that, the Secret Service head, you as a politician doesn't want anyone there. You want someone who you know will protect you.
Okay.
And that's the thing. There's this conflict of interest as well that impacts the position. So it wouldn't surprise, we would have to go back, but it wouldn't surprise me